Like you're in this like eternity of just sound in like your own little head. It's cool.
Did you smoke today?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is probably what my inner child would feel like when I was obsessed with Britney Spears and she was in her recording studio singing in the mic. Like this is what they hear.
This is it.
This is cool.
Yeah. No, it's been cool. I'm happy. This is the Nobody Gets It podcast. However, we kind of roll into this, but I wanted to make sure when we start this podcast that everyone's been telling me to do for a while. I wanted to have the core individuals help build Nobody Gets It, Dojohouse, the whole brand. It's all an umbrella company at the end of the day. And I wanted to have you on here as I test this out. And I'm happy you're having fun testing it out.
Thanks for having me on. I'm so honored that I'm a core.
You're a core.
Thank you.
We're building this Dojohouse
I
up.
know.
We're going to talk about that. Like, we're going to talk about, this is the things we talk about, already. We talk every day about production, the things we're building.
Yeah, it's cool. Our conversations are always just everything, everywhere, all at once.
Plug.
Yeah.
Plug in that movie. Let's go.
Yeah, it's always a conversation. We're talking almost every day. And I love that. I think a lot of times people are like, let's do this. Let's start this production company. Like, let's go make a film. Let's do this thing. And, I love that you really are so committed to Dojohouse and this media group. And that even if there's not anything particularly like happening, you're constantly making it happen. We're always having conversations. We're always thinking about like what's next and finding ways to plant new seeds. And Dojohouse has found so many cool opportunities in times that there's not always going to be an opportunity presented to you.
Yeah.
And so many different verticals like this podcast, the music video stuff, the commercial stuff, the film, the narrative portion of it.
Yeah.
And it's just been really fun for us to try to, be as creative as possible and have limitless opportunities and just us talking every day, even if it's not like there's a job happening tomorrow. It's just us talking about the potential in the future. And I love that.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think we've been grateful, both of you and I, like the situations we get from other people or even the situations we bring upon ourselves. Like you had an idea of, optioning a book and making something happen. And I have an idea of like a script that I want to, recycle IP on, but like we're figuring out how to do it together. And that's been the collaborations in my DNA as it is yours too. And like how I built, Dojohouse up to this point where I wanted to feel like I wanted to bring you in because we're starting to get somewhere. I'm like, I need to have a partner on this because I look at what I was doing, Nobody Gets It Records, and it was like me, Wade, Colin, Flynn. Awesome. We all knew our roles and we were developing something in, we started in 2020. Dojohouse is a little more, a few years. But as Dojohouse was taking its legs with like new stuff, I mean, you were already coming on as line producer on a lot of the jobs already. And I recognized your worth. I recognized the value. And I was like, there's no one else I want to partner with to bring into all this than you. And
That's so nice.
I'm happy
Danny.
I get to share this like career success that we're both having. I mean, we did a massive project a couple months ago.
Yeah. That was a wild one. And like just to piggyback off of that, like collaboration is so important in this industry because there's just no room for ego. And I think I try to surround myself with people and creatives today more that just honestly don't drive their projects and their ideas and their future goals with ego. And it's just so important. People want so badly to be recognized and like they want to be significant, and they kind of do things that feed the self versus trying to feed like a bigger vision of community and collaboration. And I always just think about this quote that someone told me years ago, and it just like never left me. It was, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, you go together. Mm-hmm. And I think that what you're building here and what we're building here at Dojohouse is just like a team, a community, constantly just wanting to bring up whoever is willing and wanting to do it and go places and make cool shit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
cool.
I didn't know. I was like,
no, you're good.
Bleep that out.
No, Andrew asked it too. He was like, can I cuss on here? I'm like, yeah bro, cuss away.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. But Yeah, it's been cool to be a part of something that there's just like, you're not like, I'm the boss, this is my company, and like, it's just never felt that way. And I love that, because I have been lucky to have some people who've been selfless in teaching me their ways, and not trying to prove anything, just want to share. And that's, by sharing information, you bring someone else up. And it, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm afraid that person's going to get better than me, or do better than me, or make more money than me, or do cooler projects than me. And I don't think it's about that. I think there's always room for everyone. And if you light someone else's candle, that doesn't take out your flame, and it just creates more light.
It does. That's the whole point. Also, everything you're saying is right, and it's like why we wanted to bring in these interns this summer, because we had a fall intern that was great with us. It was just one girl, and she reached out to me December, brought up the idea of it, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I've never had like an intern, but this would be really cool to like have happen. And she worked with us on a bunch of projects, and it was like, told Jesse, I'm like, dude, we need like 10 more of these. And little did we know, we went and got them, and awesome crew. I mean, we interviewed like 50 of them, and it was like, all 10 of these interns could find their place like in what we could have help on, because we're doing so many things. But it just goes to what you're saying. It's like, each of them is never going to forget this internship that they started out doing with us, and the cool things they saw, and where they go 5-10 years from now, they're going to maybe hit us up or keep us in mind. And it's a testament that I've said on other episodes that like, these people that are in the mailroom at agencies, like they'll be an agent in 5 to 10 years. Like, be nice to, just moral is be nice and kind to everyone you meet along the way. Light people's flame, like you said. Don't worry about yours going out, because they'll remember Abby was like passionate and really was optimistic for me. And they won't forget that, because there's so many people in here that just, can be the other way, and it's bad. It's not good.
Totally. Yeah. It isn't. And I really feel like sometimes those relationships just didn't go as far as I wanted them to, because of that characteristic. And, you just have to find that, I guess, your tribe, your people, are the people that have the same sort of energy and mindset that you do. And this industry is crazy. There's a lot of crazy people and cutthroat people, and not the best intentions always. So it's good to keep those people, when you find them, close to you. And
I feel like we do a good job of that. Like, we like to like hire people we've worked with a lot on our crews that we've have good repertoires with, and people that might do something lower here, but we'll take care of them on the next. And I think that's important for us, and like I know that's the feedback we get from a lot of people. But that's so important for us to just set that tone and that morale. Like, I know when I walk on a set, or like, my thing is like, I want to play AC/DC, like get people like, just like, Thunder is playing, dude.
I want to play Britney Spears.
You're playing Britney Spears. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
you
like,
set the tone. We need to set the tone and be good.
You always kind of reminded me on set that it's a lot of it is about morale. 12-hour days, those are long days. When I talk to my friends, or I talk to my family, my boyfriend, people that are not in the industry.
Right. Same,
and I tell them like, oh, how long are you going to be on set today? And I'm like, oh, probably like a 14 to 16-hour day, just being on the production side, because the shoot day is 12 hours, but then we're getting there at least an hour and a half before, and probably staying an hour and a half, if not sometimes like 3-4 hours after we wrap a shoot, just to really get out of the location and make sure everything is really locked up and out. And so, I mean, Danny and I have memories of us pulling, multiple 22-hour days with like as little as like 5-hour turnaround sleep and coming back to the shoot. That was
a wild one.
Yeah.
We won't mention the name or whatever, but yeah. I think I've told honestly enough people, though, if they ever watch this, I know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. That was a crazy one. I mean, I went and napped in my car. Danny got kidney stones after. His health was compromised. Like, there was just
I went to the hospital for I didn't come home for 3 days after that shoot, because I was in the Northridge Hospital. Shout Northridge Hospital, and I was
Don't
yelling.
Let this deter you from production, though.
And I was yelling her name in the ambulance, like, it was her fault. It was her fault. They're like, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that was a funny shit. But yeah, I mean, like, to your point, we're on those sets a long time. It's all about like, the energy you give off during in and out, because we'll be waiting like for that. We were waiting for that artist for like hours on end, and we're all sitting there like we're in like a refugee camp, just like waiting, huddling in corners. Like
it did feel like that.
Felt like that, and it's like it's a dream job what we do, but there are definitely some points that some people just don't. Nobody gets it.
It's what nobody gets about being a producer. The title producer always sounds so cool and glamorous, and I think what nobody gets about being a producer is all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this job, and the amount of work and like going that extra mile and above and beyond what your title of the title description of your job is technically as a producer. I feel like I'm always just doing like the most in every aspect of the job, and it's actually not always. It's never really that glamorous. It's always really fun at the end when you get to see the product and you're like, makes everything so worth it. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, it's like the least glamorous job that you can have. And it's just one of those things that I don't think people really understand. When people hear me say that I'm a producer, and they probably think like, what does that mean? You just get, sit in a chair all day and just kind of like, be like, good job, and like just be around and just say hi to the crew. It's like, no, my God, there's just so much more. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. There's
just so much more underneath to uncover. And I didn't know that going into producing. I just really liked being on set. I really liked being in the environment of feeling like it was like an ecosystem of people. Like every single person had an important position to make something greater happen. Mm-hmm. Like no job or crew member was unimportant in any way. Like everyone had a reason to be there on a job, and I was like, this whole machine is so cool, and everything that everyone's doing to make this like video or this film, and I just thought it was fascinating. And I like kind of got intoxicated with wanting to be on set more, and I liked the idea of producing because I liked figuring out how to connect all the dots. Mm-hmm. And, communicating with people is so important as a producer because it helps you kind of like create this web. You're like, okay, I got to talk to my director and then get information from him here. And then maybe I'm talking to like the label and getting that information and relaying it there. Or then I have my production designer who I have to make sure that their team understands what they're doing, and it's just building this web. And I just thought it was fun kind of being on that side of things in production, sort of getting everything from like beginning to end and getting to see the whole thing through was really fun for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes with a lot of not so glamorous moments, and moments where you're losing lots of sleep, compromised health. I mean, like times where I was just like honestly questioning what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like I had a kind of this is sort of a personal story. Probably a week ago, I had a mental breakdown. I was just like crying, and I couldn't stop crying. And my boyfriend was like, "What? Are you okay? Like, it's okay." And I'm like, "I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I can handle it. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm going to make it. It's just so hard. It's just so many things. It's just like, I want to quit." And I feel like I was saying those words, and as they were coming out of my mouth, I'm like, I don't really want to quit. Yeah. I love this way too much. Yeah. But there's a lot of times where being the producer, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah. There's a lot of people who look to you for answers. And it's been one of those really amazing things in my life that has just made me a different person. It's kind of like when people say like, oh, when you have kids, you become like different. You're never the same again. Mm-hmm. I feel like being a producer has changed my life in so many ways, in the greatest possible ways, has made me a person that I feel like I've come into something greater and deeper and more significant in my life. It's just really changed me in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of people that rely on us to like, find them the jobs, but they also shouldn't, because everyone should be proactive just like we are. For sure. But that being said, we do sign up for this, and we didn't know this. The territory comes with kind of being a therapist sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes also just like, hey, I haven't gotten, paid, or there's an issue on set, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm running after like a company's accounting, or I have to figure out why the label hasn't sent the money to, you know, whatever. And there's just so many things that I feel like people really rely on a producer, or sometimes it's like, hey, what's going on with this? And you have to go and like investigate this entire situation. And it is kind of like being like the set therapist. And
Yeah.
my mom's always like, you guys just need to hire a set therapist.
That'd be
honestly.
good. I would do that.
And a set masseuse. How fun would that be?
That'd be good.
That'd be good.
We talked about that on one of the longer weeks we had on one of them last time.
I know.
That would be funny.
A chair massage on set. That really would. That would be the glamorous part of this, of all of that, really.
But it is rewarding at the end of the day, like you said. Like you're like, you know, the maestro of an orchestra. Like everyone plays their section, their part, and does that.
That's good.
That's a good comparison I use. Another one I always use is I always honestly think of everyone like a football game, and like where, you know, prep is practice. You practice every week for the big game.
Yeah.
Where the director's the head coach. You know, he puts together what his vision for that game is. But you got like us as like the general managers. We put the team on the field. We have a certain amount of like money to put that team together on the field. We schedule out how, you know, the day's got to go, and when it's game time, it's like our 12-hour day. And I always say like the opponent might be like the talent stuck in hair and makeup, or the weather, it's raining now and we can't do a sun shoot, or like that's the opponent. So you might be like losing, and then like lunch is halftime, and you know it's. But then I also say like, you know, offensive coordinator is the first AD. He's calling the plays for the director. He's running the show. The O line is like the G&E guys, like, because if you don't keep them happy, we don't score.
Yeah.
And like everyone's like the department, right? But it's a football game. You can lose at half. You can be kicking your ass kicked at halftime. It's all about like finishing out. And it's like like we said, you know, we put them on make it happen, and it's rewarding, that fact, because you do it. You look back when it is game time, and you're like, hell yeah, like the set looks dope. Everyone's in morale, working together. Like I'm talking with the label and directors about creative and how we should go with this. Like, yeah, like there's so much, like you said, blood, sweat, and tears going to prep, and like second guessing yourself, or like, you know, it's like you have like every little, it's like a Rubik's Cube. I saw one of the interns doing a Rubik's Cube out there. I never can figure out fucking Rubik's Cubes, so this might be a bad analogy, but you're like always there, and you're like, there's one thing wrong. It's like, oh, but then that talent can't be in that scene, or it's like, oh, but that's at the wrong time of the day. And it's us to like really like sit down. I remember there was one we did and was like, we both were like, did we exhaust all options? Like we exhausted all options, and then we came up with an idea for that thing, and it all worked.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to ask everyone, your coaches, your team department heads, like, let's really think here how to brainstorm and be logistical to win this set, win this shoot, win this right now. Be productive.
There's never a time where I have luckily just completely failed, because I feel like you can't look at anything as a failure. You just have to look at it as a pivot, and that you have to figure out a way, like it's a creative solution. It might not be your first
a roadblock, you know?
Yeah, it might not be the first initial vision that you had. But like you said, it's just about really finding out if you've exhausted all options. And I love using that creative muscle in our brains to like really just like,
do we really think of everything here that didn't work, that we gotta like completely change it, or can we get a little bit more creative? Like, and I'm not calling anyone that they're not, but it's like, I think with the right push, that's what we do. It's like, and we're here to help you. Like, I think that's what's important about being a producer. A trait is you kind of need to know all departments of what they're kind of thinking and that stuff. I mean, it's important for us to know like what lights are what lights, and what, you know, grip is what they're bringing, and like art, okay, that can be whatever, but you know, you try your best to like hit some quotes and get some peace of mind. And we look at all our past vendors, we put these things together. But it's them to help, you know.
It is like, it's like just total building blocks, and it's like you were talking about like knowing all departments. And when I first started producing, I was actually a production coordinator. I didn't just get thrown into producing, but I started out sort of, you know, a little bit on the lower side, where I was just a coordinator, and still a really important role. And I didn't even know what like G&E was. I was always just like, what is G&E? Like, I didn't know anything. Yeah. And then I found out that was grip and electric. And I was like, okay, electric makes sense. I was like, what's grip? Like, I was just not even. And then I had to figure out, like, the crew within grip. So I was like, what's a best boy?
Yeah.
I just didn't understand.
No, yeah,
And then
there's
you
some
know
names
what?
that you're
It's
like,
like
what?
so funny because 2 years later, 3 years later, I'm in this position now where I'm going from like literally just knowing zero to working with some of the, most incredible people and people I never honestly thought or dreamed that I would be working with, and just notable,
Yeah.
amazing
Especially this
directors and
quick.
artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just been one of those things where I think truly if you want it bad enough and you ask questions and you're constantly just switched on when you're on set, you can learn this so quick. It just isn't brain surgery. It's not rocket science. It really is a lot of common sense. And a lot of it comes from just being really passionate. And honestly, the film community, there's some amazing people. People love to share and to talk. And like you can ask, I love going over to camera department and just asking them about like f-stops and like what we're shooting
Yeah, you
on
do.
and talk.
You are good at that. You're like, so this is that. Like I
Yeah,
see you always asking
it's
them.
just fun. I just like to learn. I
Yeah.
think, and also that in turn is information for me, and it's knowledge is power. And I think there have been times where I've been kind of fucked over by a vendor who is like, oh, we just want to make our money on this job. And I'm able to look and see, okay, like, what do we really have on this list? Is this important? Is this necessary? Are they overcharging us for this? Like, I'm able to use that knowledge and understand, oh, well, we really don't need that light, or we really don't need that for camera support. That's just kind of like superfluous. That even at $150 we could be saving on something could be towards something else important that goes on screen. So I like to learn about all these different departments and all of the things, because like you said, at the end of the day, it's like knowing a little bit about everyone's department is so helpful as a producer, because it really is just like a web in your brain that you have to create to understand how to connect these dots. And it's just really fun, and it's challenging, but it's so rewarding. Truly.
Yeah. What would you say your most challenging video was, if you are able to say?
I'm going to think about that for a second, because I think every video has some sort of challenge.
There's always something that's a challenge. There's also a learning thing. Like I feel like we always walk away with like, oh, not that we were dumbfounded in that area, but it's like we just learned a better idea of how this talent like percentages should go, or anything. I mean, like even the recent ones, like, learned a lot about VFX, because our last videos were heavy with VFX and like how the proper way. I mean, they brought like a mobile RV on set to like scan her and do stuff. And
they had to do a 3D body scan of the artist and take that scan and import it into a software to be able to like essentially clone her.
Yeah.
And it was just fascinating to learn about what goes into live action and then how the overlap happens with VFX and CGI. That's something that was really cool. But something I guess like particularly that stands out of like one of the most challenging shoots I had was I was on a music video shoot, and we were doing 2 videos back to back, and the budget was really low. The budget was $50,000 for both videos, which honestly, $50,000 sounds like a lot of money, right? Like you're like, if you had $50,000 sitting in your bank account, you'd be like, that's cool. That's a good amount of money.
Yeah.
No, it is not a lot of money when you're trying to do 2 videos, and the expectations are always a lot, and there's always a lot of things that are going on and so many pieces to put together. So that money does not go a long way. But I remember that the EP of the company was just trying so hard to save some money, right? And they brought over these hard drives that weren't really good hard drives. I don't really know the brand. They just weren't like the type that we normally use. And basically what happened was there was also no one to actually dump the footage, a DIT or a utility on set. So I was doing producing, coordinating, DIT, running around.
And for people that don't realize, that position is pretty important, because that's the whole.
It's the whole shoot. You could shoot all this stuff and it looks really cool on camera, and then you're not able to get it onto a hard drive and get it to your editor. Yeah. You don't have a shoot, right?
Yeah, money's down. There's insurance claims, and it's not fun.
So there was some issue with the drives. I was obviously doing way too much, not focusing particularly on the drives. I was just trying to like get them dumped and then like running around doing other things. And something happened to one of the drives where the drive was just a bad drive. And long story short, we had to end up taking this drive to a specialist after the shoot to retrieve the footage of the 2-day shoot that we had. And it ended up costing $5,000 to retrieve the footage. And at the end of the day, I think the learning lesson, it wasn't a fault of anyone. It definitely wasn't my fault, but like I still was like, what can I learn from this? What can I take away from this for future shoots? And I now never underbid my hard drives or just don't put a number in for hard drives. Hard drives is, you have to have really good quality, or if not the best quality hard drives that you can have. And I also always put someone for DIT, even if it's someone who is more of like a PA, but is designated to be sitting there to retrieve the memory cards from camera, and who's like just focusing on dumping the footage. And also, it really made me realize that having a support and a production team on any shoot is also like just so important and so valuable. And you know, you can't be doing everything. You can't be the producer and the PM and the coordinator and the DIT.
It only goes so far.
You really,
like, you can't do that.
At the end of the day, you know, it really probably put a bad taste in the label's mouth about me, because it just is a reflection on me. It probably put a bad taste on the production company. And, you know, I never really worked with them again. Just like that whole situation just put such a like just stain on like me and the company, and it was just kind of all really bad. But I now value how important it is. I always thought it was, oh, I could just dump the footage. It's no problem. Like, you know, but no, I think that really taught me that is an important, and that goes back to like, you know, the ecosystem that I was talking about in the beginning, is that there's no job on set that is little, and there's no job that is just not important, and that without one person there, a lot of things, there's a trickle effect of things that could go wrong or aren't going to be as like a well-oiled machine. And I really value every single person who is on set. And sometimes, you know, you can't have, you know, certain people in place for certain things, and there are shoots where you're just trying to make it happen with a more like skeleton crew, right? But I think there are some things that are just like non-negotiable for me now, and I just like, you know, I had another shoot that comes to mind where this was told to me by someone who has a really well-known production company here in LA, and I remember he was like, you know, well, every producer has a different style. And in the beginning I was like, well, I thought producing is all just like the same. Everyone does the same thing, right? Like you prep a job, you're doing the shoot, you're doing post. But that really stuck with me as I learned, like, who is Abi Perl? What is my producing style? What do I value? What's important to me? What are my non-negotiables when I'm doing a shoot to keep my sanity, to keep my crew and my people around me feeling good, feeling happy, and at the end of the day, making an amazing product and having an incredible shoot and art that's going to live on forever. And so, you know, as time has gone on now and I've been producing now more and more, it just is like I am realizing that I do have a certain style about me, and that I might.
Yeah, we all do.
We all do. Like, we produce a little bit differently. We have a different vibe, a different energy, a different strategy to things, different resources, different connects. And so, you know, if you do decide that you want to be a producer, you'll learn what your style is and things that matter to you most and people you like need around, you know, like your core PAs, like your core production team. Like you love the same DP that you work with because you know that they're
like
always
the AD.
The AD
is so important. I mean, every position you've been saying is important. Like the DIT one is the one. The hard drives DIT line are always the ones that like. Yeah,
people try to like,
people
you know,
shouldn't. Yeah, they try to like wipe that off. Like, oh, do we need that? It's like, do you care about like your film getting done and doing this the right way? Because you know something could happen. But the AD one is, I hope people don't try to always overlook that because it shouldn't fall on us to try to like. We can sure help with the shooting schedule and figure out logistics ahead of time, but when it's day of, it's like we're putting out fires too much. Like there's too much things we got to balance with accounting and all this other stuff. It's like you really want us to be the field general, like on the ground, like that can't get overlooked. But
absolutely,
there's so many positions that like people want to try to undercut or undervalue, and it really is valuable. And even if you know you can't afford all that stuff, like just try to find people that are green. Like that's why we had one recently, and it's like the clients like wants a lot for a little, and it's just like, look, this is a perfect opportunity to get some USC film school kids. Like, why not? These kids are, went their education, and they haven't had an opportunity yet, but they're probably just as good as your 20-year-old kid who didn't get to go to college or didn't want to. But that being said, like, they might be green, but this is what you got, and they know what they're doing, and everyone needs an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I put it in that perspective. I'm like, we could still like oversee it with them and have even the PM come from USC Film School. But it's, if you have this money, you got to match this, and you need the right pieces in place to make your product come out.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes back to like, did you think of everything? Did you exhaust all your resources? Is there anyone out there who you could just, because dumping footage, if it's just media managing, it's pretty simple, you know. You just kind of have to show someone like what to do, and maybe check in on it, make sure all the footage is getting dumped, and explain a few things to them. But it's like, just you could probably hire a friend or someone who's just like kind of has some
just present,
understands some basic technology, and I'm sure you can get that person that you need in that position. But I think every single shoot I have has always been a challenge, and there's always been a moment of learning something new. And when I first got into producing, I actually wasn't a producer forever. I was actually a dancer and working in front of the camera and not behind the camera for my whole life. And I was on national TV shows. I was working at a really well-known dance studio. I was working with and dancing for some of the biggest talent influencers, making lots of dance videos. Blew up on TikTok during COVID. I was just like doing that whole thing. You're going to
be humble about it, but I'll blow you up. You blew up on TikTok. It was nice. You had everything down about it. And
and there was this moment in time where I was actually watching an award show, and there was just something like in me, like a small voice that was like, you're supposed to be there one day. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't know why my brain just thought that. That was weird. But then I started thinking like, I'm already doing a lot of some sort of kind of producing. When I was doing the dance videos, I had to find locations, good lighting, get my dance partner, my outfit, wardrobe. I had to make sure that, the logistics I needed were all there to create this dance video for it to either go viral or to do well or look good. And, those are like small aspects of producing. So I think we all kind of produce in our daily lives, if you really think about it on like a very, very simple level. Even when you're like making a meal for yourself and you have to go grocery shopping, essentially figuring out like the ingredients that you need, like how much time it's going to take for you to make it, like how much of it you're going to make. All these like things are basically like what producing is like on like a way, 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 way bigger scale. But, from that moment of seeing this award show and thinking like, oh, I feel like I'm supposed to be there one day, and it was just this like intuition, and I started listening to that intuition a little bit more. And even though I was really enjoying being in front of camera and doing TikToks and dancing and performing, I started kind of exploring what producing is. And a lot of times people are like, at least for me, I was like, what is a producer? Like, what do producers do? I was just so like, am I supposed to be the one like funding the project, finding the funding for the project? I didn't understand, there's so many different types of producers out there, right? So, and that word is kind of like a big, vague umbrella of a term. And when I got an opportunity to come on board to an independent feature film, that was my first project ever that I was not in front of camera, that I was on the production side of things. I was getting an associate producer credit on a feature film that was shooting in New Jersey. And I remember not knowing anything again. Like, I was just like constantly Googling things. I was like, well, okay, I have to figure out
you're
how.
Just given tasks and it's like, just go figure it out.
Right. Like, I had to figure out how to submit the feature film to SAG. And
that's honestly a hard little task right there with that. That's not the easiest task.
My good friend Andrew Sandler will always say, just throw yourself into the fire. He threw me into the fire for a project that I worked on with him for Machine Gun Kelly, and I was just a coordinator, and he gave me a chance. But going back to this, I was just every single thing I didn't know what I was doing at first. There's no like book that you can just get that's going to teach you step by step. It's sort of just like as things happen, you have to just be like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to utilize every single resource I have. I'm going to ask people questions. Like there really is never a stupid question. And if you have some good people around you who I have had some amazing people who have just been willing to share information, you ask like, I am supposed to be doing this. I don't really know what I'm doing. Can you help me out? And I just Googled a lot of things. I had to read a lot of things, but I was doing it. And then after I got done with that feature film, it was like, I was lit up more than I had ever been in my life. And I was like, I got to make a movie. Like I was just like so invigorated by it. And I just wanted to be, I didn't know.
More. It's like getting a hit.
I know. And I was
dopamine.
Like, exactly. And I was like, I don't know what that meant. I don't know what really producing like is, because that was only one time I had done it. And I was just like praying to the universe, like, I just want to do that again. I don't know what I was exactly doing, but I was just like, I want to do it all over again. And then I ended up getting a call from a friend. Shout out Jamie Ranta. She called me and was like, I just need some help on this week. I have like 5 productions, commercials, music videos, and I don't have enough people on hand. Could you just come help? And I just said yes. Like I didn't know what I was going to be doing. And looking back, I was kind of just like a runner, office PA type of vibe. And I was just doing whatever was needed of me to make everyone feel good, keep the morale up, make sure, I was getting coffee, I was cleaning up trash, I was helping with like flying out some of the artists. He had some of these like chains, these diamond chains. They had to get on a private jet. $500,000 worth of chains for this artist to go to Colombia so that he could wear it for the shoot.
But that needed its own specific coordination.
It did. And I had to coordinate. That's a lot of value,
and that's an important part.
And so I remember how like intense that was. I felt like I was doing a drug deal. I really did feel like I was doing a drug, because I had to get the chains from the dealer. And then I had to get them to like a runner who was going to take $500,000 worth of custom diamond chains to a port in Miami. So they had to fly them first from LA to Miami, and then from Miami take them to a small private airport in Miami to get on a private plane securely over to Colombia, and then all the way back.
And you're positive this was a production and not a drug deal?
I'm positive.
I don't know.
I saw the chains, okay?
She's like, yeah, totally. Operation, like an Argo type shit.
It was quite the operation, but I like, to me, I wouldn't necessarily look at that and be like, that's what producing is. But it's those moments of like when you really break down all of the things that you are kind of doing sometimes, like in production, it's just sometimes the most like random but awesome stuff that happens. And a lot of times people are like, my family especially, they're like, we don't really know what you do. And I'm like, because nobody gets what I do. It's like there's never a way for me to explain exactly what I do. And if you're watching this podcast, or if you know me, I'd love for you guys to reach out. I know people who I know who have been coming up who reached out and been like, I want to learn. Like I can teach budgets, I can teach logistic things and how I like to run things, but there's the in-between stuff that can't be taught.
Yeah.
And it's just experience, and it's just getting thrown into the fire, and it's just the willingness and the passion. And, if you're not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it. And it truly is just like you having that fire and never letting that fire go, even in moments like I had where I was like, I want to quit. I'm done. I can't take it anymore. The stress, the pressure, but you can't let those moments break you.
Yeah.
No, gotta just keep going.
I feel that so much what you're saying. I mean, even last week when I was offered this like bigger position with a structure, like a franchise, and someone was a vendor of us for a minute, and it was just like softball, like, well, would you think about doing this full time? And like I'm in my 30s. I'm like, franchise, that structure, that title, like talking to my parents about it too, because like your point, like my parents are always like, they need like videographer or photographer for people, like
they just don't
they don't know. And finally they started realizing like, oh, you're doing like that kind of stuff, this is cool. But when they heard that opportunity, when I was kind of talking to them about it, they're like, why wouldn't you? And I was even then talking like Reed, my brother, about it, and I was like, this could be like a dream job. He's like, dude, you're already doing a dream job. Like, you're running your own thing. You're doing what you want to do. You're building Dojohouse. You want it. You're building Nobody Gets It how you want it. Don't lose this like client as you've been a client. They've been a client of yours and they want more. Just figure it out. But he's like, you guys, sometimes we forget how much we always are doing, that we look like, damn, we really have come a long way and we are doing what we love to do.
Yes. It's sometimes it's like having an outside person sort of like remind you we are doing our dream job, and this is my dream job. And looking back when I was doing TikToks and dancing, and by
the way, question: what was the song that blew up for you on TikTok? Was there a specific video or song, or was it just consistent? You just stay consistent.
First video that hit 1 million views.
Yeah. What song was it?
It was Shakira, never, you could dance like this. I forget what that song is.
That's like Wyclef, right?
Yeah. And I actually, it'd be cool if, you guys could show the video.
Yeah, let's show it. Yeah. This is where it comes in, like right here, right there. Lucinda gets it.
So I did this, actually, I was living in West Hollywood, and I shot this video with a very dear friend of mine, Brandon Beltran. I had him come over and we learned the video. We learned...
you did the dance in the video.
We did the dance.
Yeah.
There was like a TikTok dance that was starting to kind of pick up some speed. Mm-hmm. And him and I thought it was really cute, really fun, really sexy. And we learned the dance in like 10 minutes. And I actually lived like in this video, you could probably see like we're sort of like on a sidewalk, and I live like right behind that. So it was like walking distance from where I live. And I used to just shoot videos like all the time, like by my apartment, in my apartment, near my apartment, like in public. I mean, there's another video actually of me being at the Grove in West Hollywood, and it was a very, very busy day. It was Sunday, and I remember people were yelling at me like, put your mask on, because this was like still COVID, but we were outside. But it just, I mean, that kind of like, you would do anything to just go for it and get it done.
Yeah, you were chasing your passion, and you still are passionate about it. But back then, that's what you saw, and that was the platform to use. And you're like, I'm going to put this together and do it. And it worked for you, and you kept with it consistently, just like everything we've done to this point as a producer, being consistent. But there you were, you did all the recipes.
Yeah, it really is. I remember I was actually, I had filmed it, I posted it, and within 24 hours, it hit 1 million views. And quick, I was like, I remember the exact moment of when it hit 1 million. I was actually out that night, and I checked my phone, and I was like, oh my God, like 1 million views. I couldn't believe it. I thought that was the coolest thing. But, I would wake up every single day during COVID, because that is kind of the time where I was doing these videos. I was locked down. We were all quarantined, and every single day, without a fail, I did not skip a day. I woke up and I filmed 3 to 5 videos every single day, and I would get ready. Even if I wasn't in the mood to get ready, I would do my hair, I would do my makeup, and I would put on a cute outfit, and I would film these videos. And every single day my mom would say to me, Abigail, what are you doing again today with your hair and your makeup? We're in COVID. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, you don't... How many times do I have to tell you? I'm filming a TikTok. But it was the consistency, and...
It was also creating your opportunities.
For sure. And I think that translates. Like that, those characteristics are core qualities about me that I think translate to anyone who has, dedication, consistency, and just, the passion to want to keep doing something. And I think that is really the reason that I've grown so fast as a producer, are those exact qualities. So like I said, going back to this thing, it doesn't matter if you're like, producing something small in your life, or you don't, you can do this. It doesn't really, there's no something like that you don't have that, you can't go and be a producer. It's just truly all about like the characteristics within inside of you that really will take you to the next level.
Yeah. No, facts. Yeah. I love us just talking about the producing stuff. I mean, this is great. This is where I'm going to have people come on and talk about their experiences and get good education. I think this is something that will provide like a lot of people with that like will listen to this. And because we already have people always coming into this house and people we sit with, and, we take meetings probably once, twice a day with, people that could help us in what we're doing, new directors, new people, like, But I feel like every time we talk to him, like it could be a podcast combo where we're talking about, like even the guy yesterday we talked to, he was explaining about his whole come up stuff and what he does and giving us lessons on the whole like sales rep stuff and giving his perspective. So I just think it's like important to have these conversations more. And it just is going to like what you do with TikTok. It's like create your own opportunity when it's COVID, like not much stuff was happening. You're like, I'm passionate about this. I'm going to try this, see if it works. And I'm happy that our, intern squad here has helped push me to do this because it is something for us to create our own opportunities with when times might be a little slow. But I usually to also telling all our directors, like, what do you like? This is what I'm going to do. Why don't you go make a spec, go like shoot a scene for short.
And I love that about you. It's inspiring. A lot of times people, they get stuck in times where the opportunity feels a little pulled back, especially with where the economy is right now, where things are where things are going in terms of, technology and everything is sort of shifting. And I think you've been such a good sound reason and like voice of reason for people to say like, don't let this get you down. This is the moment where you like push harder, where you create more of your own opportunities, where you go back to that script or you go back to that project that you thought about years ago and that podcast you wanted to do, or like go travel, go do something that's going to like feed your soul and create your own opportunities. Because when it's time to get back, which we all know that we've all seen this happen before, it's a cycle, there's down times and there's upward times. And, when it's time that the ball is kind of rolling back to that upward time and things are getting back to this like really good spot in the industry, you'll already have had all these cool projects that you just did, and like maybe it's a script or like an IP thing or whatever it is you're working on, and like in that time frame you've built something important for yourself that matters, that was cool for you.
Thank you.
I love that about you. It's just you remind people like, don't worry too much, don't sweat the small stuff, don't sweat this time of like, oh, the jobs aren't coming in, like the work's slow, like go find your own work, go reach out to people, go hit up your artists, go hit up your friends, and like use the resources that you have and like figure out how to make your own opportunity.
I feel like everyone looks at like unfortunate times, but it's like look at it more like an advantageous time, like take advantage of this time and like get back to the roots. Like you started with a camera in your hand, or you started editing on whatever that was, and just creating for yourself. And it's like get back to those roots, man, because also like you just have to show work to get work sometimes, like as we've seen with our people. And it's like a lot of these briefs we've been getting in is like relatable stuff they want to see. It's like different than music videos because they're like, oh yeah, we want to have this director write us a treatment, we'll see their idea. But now what we're seeing is like we just want to see the director's work and their websites and what's relatable to exactly what we want. So it's like, okay, if you don't have that stuff, just start making that stuff. Like no one needs to know that you didn't get hired for a job to do this. Or it's also just testing your memory skills and or like you're putting your brain to work. And it's just important to like constantly keep creating and like why you did this in the first place and take advantage of those times. So
it's good. Remember your why. Kind of like time.
Yeah, my grandma told me that when I was interviewing her. Aww. But no, but it's important like that. It's like remembering why you did this and don't lose that. And they're just like so many times to take advantage of it and use the downtime to benefit yourself.
Yes, use this downtime to benefit yourself. It's very true. No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited though for like what we're gonna do with Dojohouse, like going forward. I mean, even the past months, like we did that awesome big music video, which we might, there might be potential something coming more from that, because probably when this comes out, hopefully we're there. But that being said, I mean, like we took the last quarter to do films that we wanted to get into. And by like our friend Andrew Sandler and Veronica, like they had a script that me and you came on to EP and Dojohouse funded. And I mean, you were the rock star, you were the MVP. You went out to New York and oversaw that shit when you didn't have to, but you did. And it was amazing.
Thank you.
The product finally came out amazing. It wouldn't have been done without you the right way. I mean that. But that's who you are. Like you. Yeah, like as you're kind of giving me my flowers, I'm gonna give you yours. Like you don't let people down. Like you don't let people down. You do what you should need to do, and you really like just don't let anyone down with what everyone asks you to do. Even if you might have tons of things going on, you still show up and you get it done, and you just don't let anyone down. And you always prove your worth, and you're always awesome to be around too. And you're also really And I think that was when I was like looking for a partner with Dojohouse like the last couple of years, and there were a few people in mind. But like I just wanted it to be it was important for me also to have like a counterpart like yourself, but also be female, because I think like that's where like a lot of our industry is going to. Like people want to work with a lot of female directors and other people too, and I don't blame them. They should get these opportunities. But I think you've grown a lot in like elevating that way too. And I know you're happy to see that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I think being a part of Dojohouse wasn't something that I anticipated. I've been freelance ever since I started kind of pivoting into this career of production, and I really kind of didn't know what I was doing. I was just sort of like job after job, just building and just growing and just kind of putting my head down and just hustling and constantly wanting to just keep working. And when our paths crossed, it was about, I would say like maybe a year and a half ago. I think like more so like probably I knew you before that, but I think when our paths
I don't know, was our first job the Nikki job?
Yeah, I might have been.
I feel like it was definitely, I don't know, maybe that was our first job, but we were very in sync. Just if that was our first job, it felt in sync.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For sure. I think.
You guys good?
No, I think this memory card's full.
Really?
Okay.
Let's see. Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
isn't it like 256?
Yeah, I believe so.
Fuck.
It's okay, we can go back between.
Yeah, here, there should be maybe another memory card right there.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But I think this is a good moment for the wide, though. I mean, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were getting there. We'll bring that back up. I can go, or yeah.
No, we're good. I'll just talk about.
Here, do you know what to do?
You should be able to open it yesterday.
It's like push. Hold on.
Can you get it?
I got it. You want to pull it down and then pull on that, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, pull it down and pull out on the. Like it might be ripping it off, but it's okay. There, you got it.
Yeah, I can kind of get into it.
It's all good.
I got it.
Okay, cool. Damn, how did we go through that memory card? Those are like a quarter terabytes or some shit.
Yeah, I was in the middle of dumping everything yesterday. I don't know if Jesse finished dumping it. It's probably.
It's alright. We have tons of memory cards.
Yeah.
It's all good. Are these still good?
Yeah.
These are still rolling.
Cool.
Yeah, I really wanted you guys to talk about like why the partnership was between you two and what your relationship
Great.
was. Like,
I think that was getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. That's good. How should I take it back, or how do we take it back?
Just
Should I
be
say
like,
from the Nikki job?
Maybe just let's say like I'd love to talk about like you becoming a partner at Dojohouse and how that all started. Maybe.
Okay. All right. Good, everyone? Cool. One thing, yeah, I definitely want to touch on is how, you kind of became a partner with me at Dojohouse. Yeah, I mean, it was important for me the last couple of years looking at it, so I wanted to have a partner as things were growing. It was important to me to have a really good counterpart that I felt was like me, but I didn't want it to be just another white male dude. I really wanted it to be a female and someone I vibed with. And I think, like, yeah, you were line producing a lot for me already, but I don't even know how we first.
It's kind of a blur to me too when I think back, like the first time I met you or our first job together. But I think it was about a year and a half ago where I kind of can remember us really starting to pick up some speed where you and I just kept hitting each other up to be on jobs for each other, you know, and it was like either I was line producing for you, you were line producing with me, or we were just tag teaming a job kind of together and producing it together. And I think I didn't always anticipate sort of coming on board and being a partner with someone and their production company. I kind of always wanted that, but I never really thought that was going to be something that would happen so near in my kind of beginning of my career, because I kind of still consider myself sort of like at the sort of just beginning of this whole journey that I'm about to be on with everything. So, when it wasn't like a formal ask or like an interview or like anything. It was sort of just like naturally kind of just felt right and felt like, yeah, this makes sense and that we're just going to do this. And there was really no pressure to feel like I have to come here to Dojohouse, or I had to be doing something to, there was a new role or responsibility to take on. It just felt very natural.
Yeah.
I think we both really want the same things, and I think we both think in the same way, and we're both excited to grow and expand and create a big future.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to have, we both have our strengths, and I think that's really important also as a producer, is being able to sort of see what people's strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And it's okay to have weaknesses, because where the areas that you might be a little bit weaker in or lacking, there's someone else who can be there who has their strengths. And that's how we create
definitely.
and build a team. Yeah. I'd like to think I'm good at everything, but I'm not. And like, the things that like you're actually like really super solid at, and that I will be like, no, actually I'm going to send Danny to go do this. Like I will be like, or sometimes Danny will be like, yo, Abby's got to take care of this one. Like there's just things that I think you and I kind of,
we recognize how the outcome can go with one of us like kind of leading that part.
Yeah.
And I think like also too, like you were saying, like there wasn't really a formal thing. I just knew I was like, I could totally cut this girl in everything that I'm trying to do, or things that are just coming in. Cause again, I didn't like expect to, year 4 maybe for me as a producer. And I didn't expect it to kind of be like this. I was growing with another company for a while, and I loved it. I was like, I want to grow with you guys. And it just, nature ran its course on that or whatever. But it was like, okay, maybe like I was like kind of organically started, Dojohouse just grew its own legs with the commissioners and the brands. Like it just formally happened. And just like you said, it just kind of happened naturally. And I think the cool thing with me and you is like, we recognize that we want this together and attack things together, but we also don't have egos where we'll go like produce for other people. And also like, I'm like, I'll be your PM for this job. Like I'll be your coordinator. I don't give a
same for
F.
me. And it's nice to have
we're like,
that.
we like want to go after people as well as a duo, because we both know our, like you said, our strengths and our weaknesses. We work well together, but there's been a few jobs in the last even couple months where we're running in a different company, you especially producer, and I'm like your PM. I'm like, underneath you technically, but like we're still doing it together. Yeah. And also I don't even care how that hierarchy goes. I just want to keep building with you and building with other people.
I felt that same way too. It was like kind of just so natural. Like we were just like, let's just build together.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard to find people that like want to let you in and like kind of be like, anything I'm doing, like you're involved with, like you're getting a cut into this, like
you're getting this credit on this, like
it's
which we didn't have to do
so
much,
cool. And it made me want to work harder for not only for me but for this bigger vision of Dojohouse Media Group. And I think I've always had just like really wild, crazy, big dreams and aspirations. And I like being around someone who's just like-minded in that way. And so now that we kind of like have sort of joined forces, even though we're still sort of like independent in our own ways, like we have to sometimes take other jobs or do other things to make ends meet. But it's nice to have this like be sort of like this new seed we're really pushing or really growing. And I always feel like I keep Dojohouse and us and this bigger, all of the interns and the people we have now in-house working with us, I'm always keeping that in mind. How can I push us? How can I get us to the next level? Where's this next job? If I have a job come in, how can I bring Dojohouse in and involved so that we can continue to grow the company? And it's nice to feel that way and feel like there's this sense of partnership. And I think we have a lot of things up our sleeves that people aren't ready for yet with Dojohouse. And I'm just so excited that I have someone like you, your personality, your work ethic. You're just kind. You always do the right thing. And that makes me really want to be in business with you, a partner with you, and have a creative rapport with you. It just made sense. And I'm excited for the big things Dojohouse is doing and that we're going to be doing together. And I'm just ready for the world to know Dojohouse.
Yeah. No, dude, me too. I think we've assembled greatly in the last couple months with like the squad, like just a whole system of like our environment we have, the people underneath us, the people we're working and getting jobs now. Like, it feels really good. Like you said, it just feels like it made sense. It's natural. It just like grew its own legs. And I think that's how everything comes about. Like when you just put your head down, you're passionate about something and you work with people well, all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh shit, this just fucking grew out of nowhere. And now it's there. And now I got to like sometimes I am like feeling like, damn, I gotta put together like an idea on the board today for all them to do, but like everyone on the team. But it's like no, everybody just talk about it and everyone just runs with it. Like everyone here in the background here, like, you know, I have one that's really taking advantage of being like a producer type for this show, which probably will be one. Another, you know, one who's trying to develop a thing for their music like side of things with TikTok. It's like we're just giving people opportunities and running with them, and it's just natural that way. And
just kind of going with what feels natural, what feels right.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, something that I just want to touch on about, like, if you're watching this or listening to this, and you're wondering, how do I get my start as a producer?
Mm-hmm. Intern at Dojohouse. And we'll fucking teach you. Give us 1 year, we got you.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, but second way.
You know, there really isn't one answer or one way. And I think not being shy and just going out there and reaching out to people and asking questions is honestly the best thing you can do, because there may be one person out there who's like, actually, yeah, I need some support, or I need someone to come and like work on a movie or work on a video. And, you know, please don't be afraid to, you know, do things pro bono or, you know, for free in the beginning, because that will go away so quickly. That free work stuff, like, I don't really like doing that because I always feel like I should pay people for their time. But I think if you're in that spot where you're like, I'm literally, no one knows my name, no one even knows I exist, I've never done anything in film, and I need an in, reach out to anyone who you like or admire their work or what they've done, and just say, hey, I want to shadow you on set. I want to come and help you with anything that I can and just learn from you. Please just, like, you know, give me a day to just come and like be there to do whatever you need me to do. I'll go get your coffee.
Yeah.
I think that stuff goes such a long way. I know pretty much everyone that you would reach out to, at least in my world.
We'll never ask someone to do something that we never have done. You know,
for sure.
It's like, so that's just the thing. It's like anything we're going to ask you is something that we've done. And also it's just, yeah, sometimes the best ability is availability, and like,
nice.
Yeah, you like that.
I do.
But yeah, sometimes in that kind of world. But yeah, I mean, I think I've seen a few people in the last years who have been like interns at Dojohouse, started with us, and then a year later they're, you know, one was an editor, and now he's on like going to Greece with Revolve and Paris Hilton. Amazing. And stuff. And like, you just kind of like observe here and just ask what's up, or not even saying here exactly have to be here, but anyone like us, for other production companies as well, just shadow them and they'll give you
truly
the experience.
If you have what it takes, you'll rise to the top, and you'll get to where you want to go, and you won't, you know, stay in that same, like, I'm going to be an intern forever, I'm going to be shadowing this person forever. That person hopefully sees your value and or gives you something that was important to the next piece. And truly it always is just like connecting dot by dot by dot, and you really won't know all these dots how they're connecting until one day you're like, wow, like you look back and you're like, man, what a crazy start I got, and how all of this like unfolded. But that truly is just like the beauty of this industry, is like you can't you can go to school for it, but like a lot of the times, like this is what they don't teach you in school.
Definitely.
And it's just an exciting career path. Everyone has a different journey, and I'm so excited that our paths have collided, and now we are here working to create something big with Dojohouse. And so yeah, it's just beginning, guys. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, this is our podcast, but you're gonna maybe have your own podcast.
I know. I really.
This is kind of cool talking to these microphones.
God, I love it. There's just something so nice and so relaxing. It's really nice.
This is better than drugs. Yeah, had to throw
I
that
wouldn't
in.
really say that.
Nah, you're right. You're right. This is great. That was a great episode. I'm happy we did this finally, and like you said, I can't wait to see the more stuff we're gonna be growing. So
thank you so much for having me on. Nobody gets it.
High five. Woo! Boom. All right, cool. create a life-size Jesus and Devil statue for a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
And it's portable. It's not that heavy as we thought.
And in my bedroom.
And in your bedroom right now. That's kind of creepy.